down a little bit.
My head's cut off. You're too short.
You're not ready?
Always ready.
Okay, then do it.
All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Messy Matrimony. I think this is episode 5. Sorry we've been away for so long. We've been busy with the holidays and coronavirus and getting a dog.
We got a dog!
What? Maybe she'll show up later. But anyway, welcome back to Messy Matrimony. We're super excited you're here. And I'll let you take it away with what we want to share at the beginning.
We want to talk about comparisons?
Yes. So we're going to be talking about comparison, but we also want to remind everyone that we're not here to give advice or teach, but really just share our story and our journey together.
So we know we're not the only ones who are going through this right now, who are going through a struggling time, a really difficult time, or even walking through something even more difficult. So we wanted to just let you know what works for us is definitely not always going to work for you guys, but hopefully you get something out of it. If not, you definitely get something out of it. So it's still beneficial.
Yeah. You can see our dog shit up. Trudy, come here. She doesn't want to come up.
She jumps up like a cat sometimes.
Anyway, we've been keeping these a little bit long, and so we want to shorten this up and keep you at 10 minutes and get you out of here. So today we do want to talk about comparison, which there's many layers to the onion of comparison. So there's comparison of each other, there's comparison of other couples, there's comparison of other families, comparison of yourself to others, and it's something that we struggled with a lot through the beginning of our marriage, and we still struggle with, to be honest. Probably on a weekly basis. In fact, we were struggling with it last week during Thanksgiving. But I wanted to share, at least from my perspective, the areas that I really struggled with in comparison, and then I'll let Becky kind of share her story. But for me, I spent a lot of time comparing myself to other men and doing it in a way that made me feel really good about myself. And so for me, I would say, at least I'm not like that guy, or at least I'm not like that dad, or at least I'm not like this person. And it wasn't really helpful or healthy. It gave me a lot of blind spots to the things I was doing wrong, or the things that I wasn't doing right or living fully up to. And so for me, comparison really slowed me down and becoming better as a husband, as a father.
Can I add something?
Yeah, please.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So he would kind of build himself up to himself. So he would just be like, well, I'm great because I do this.
I don't go to the bar like that other guy or those other dads. I don't sit in my man cave all weekend and watch football, so I got that going for me. And so I would really just use that comparison to maybe put blinders on for a lot of the other things that I maybe wasn't doing so great. And it would probably prevent me or keep me from listening to Becky when she came to me with some of her things. I think the other thing I struggled with, which I mentioned to Becky before, was oftentimes I felt like she was comparing me to other spouses. That was really frustrating for me and really hurtful for me. And it felt like, it's okay, it's forgiven. But for me, oftentimes it felt like I could never live up to what she wanted or what she needed, or oftentimes felt like she really didn't want to be married to me and wanted to be married to somebody else. And that was something that I think I harbored a lot of resentment and bitterness towards Becky sometimes.
Which you never shared with me.
Which I did not share. I just internalized it, and that's never healthy or helpful in any way. But now I'm sharing it with the entire world, so that's great. So those are the kind of two big things that I noticed with comparison, as far as me comparing myself to other men and making me feel better about it. And then Becky maybe comparing me to other spouses that she knew and wanted me to live up to or be better than, which I didn't feel like I could do. You gonna drink to that? Cheers. Do you want to share a comparison? Or anything you want to add to what I was saying or dispute?
No, I think that's all pretty accurate. I think my part of comparison was different in a sense that I would just constantly be comparing. I'd be comparing other families to us. So I'd be comparing, like, this was our family photo.
Yeah.
Ava's like crying. Scott has long hair. None of our outfits are coordinated. This versus the photos that you get every year that are like this. And this is the most perfect our family photo is ever going to get. Ever. Quite frankly, I'm very happy with this. And, like, I will never want a fake perfect photo again. But I would get, this image of myself versus all these other families, or Scott versus all these other families that we were around. And I'd be like, gosh, am I the only woman that can't get along with her husband? Am I the only one that's just, like, miserable because I don't feel like I'm being heard? So I think the enemy will try to make you feel like you're alone and that you are all by yourself feeling the way that you feel. So the most freeing thing I could do to battle that was to remember that I am uniquely created. And nobody else has to be like me. People don't have to like me for me to be who I am. I mean, God created me to be this way. So my personality doesn't have to jive with everyone else's, and that's okay. But that was really freeing and really hard to kind of walk through, to remember, like, hey, not everybody's going to like me, and that's all right. Yeah, I mean, I think that accepting our weaknesses and remembering that we had each other's strengths. We had strengths. Each of us had our own strengths.
Yeah.
And now I can appreciate, this is our Ava. Say hi. Hi. And then Trudy's down there in the bottom.
Chaos.
We called her Trudy because we wanted to name Ava Gertrude. And
I wouldn't let that fly.
yeah, so the dog's name is Gertie.
All right, get
Gertrude. Gertrude Dolores.
So as far as comparison goes, I think comparison has always been a struggle and a challenge for people. I think now with social media, it is just exponentially worse. Keeping up the Joneses used to be the people next door and across the street and maybe your circle of friends that you were somewhat close to, and now it's all day, every day, putting their fake self forward. And we're here to say that's not the reality for us, and it's probably not the reality for a lot of other people.
There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that nobody knows about.
Till right now.
Let your freak flag fly.
But anyway, so hopefully this is helpful. For us, I know I mentioned I internalized a lot of the comparison that I had going on. And so we've done a much better job of communicating with one another. Hey, this kind of hurt my feelings when you compared me to this person, or this is what I'm seeing or thinking, and just being able to talk through that stuff has been super helpful. And for us to accept our weaknesses, like Becky was saying, that I'm not ever going to live up to her standard of certain things, and she's not ever going to live up to my standards of certain things, but there's other qualities that she brings to the relationship that are just amazing and that I couldn't live without. And if I focus on those things, my thought life and my marriage is going to be much stronger, because I'm not focusing on, I wish she did this, or I wish she did that, or I wish she would dress up like this, or why can't we be like that? If I'm thinking that negative cycle constantly, it's going to come between us and drive a wedge. And so I think we've done a much better job of focusing on our good qualities and the positive things we bring to the relationship, and trying not to focus on the things that maybe frustrate us or that we wish they would do better or differently, because that's not who I married, and that's not who she married.
Now we're a lot more intentional about pointing each other's strengths out. Yeah. So, like, I'm so glad that you were so chill in that situation. Like, I was so upset about it. Like, I'm so glad you could be my rock. Or when I'm too much of a perfectionist, like Scott will be like, it's really not that big of a deal. So I can get really kind of anxious, and that's what our Thanksgiving was about. It was like, we really found each other's strengths there. Like, we communicated, and I, went all out and had like china and pretty glasses and stuff, and like set the table pretty, and
For all four of us.
made everything from scratch for 4 people. But like, I never knew anything else for Thanksgiving, and Scott was like, yeah, I just think you put so much pressure on yourself about that. And like, I don't know why you do all that. You don't have to do all of that. And I was like, I don't know any other Thanksgiving. Like, tell me what your other Thanksgivings look like. I'm confused.
Me, coming from a house of guys, we had some big family Thanksgiving, but a lot of times we just didn't. And it was very relaxed and casual, or we were going other places, and
The attention wasn't in the details for sure.
which is fine. And so, just talking about it's help. And all that to say, we still struggle with this. We still fall into the comparison trap.
But pointing out each other's strengths and then, helping each other through the weaknesses is exponentially better.
Well, we're at 10 minutes. We said we wanted to keep you guys at 10 minutes. Hopefully this is helpful for some people to see behind the curtain. Feel free to leave comments, suggestions. Let us know your story and your struggles. Hopefully we'll be back again soon. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Keep praying for us, and we'll keep praying for you. And happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Cheers. Love you.
Nobody's perfect.